May 16th, 2021. Episode 3, A Light at the End. It is the 28th day of Kythorn. Time of flowers, beginning of summer. Weather forecast, clear, slightly warm day. We took our rest, hidden in the brush just south of the site where we did battle. I was able to recover 2 of my spell slots during that time by turning to my book. Meanwhile, Kairax and Svend prepared a brief burial for the bandit Thane killed. The group discussed their thoughts on Thane's actions with varying opinions, before we moved on. We returned back to the task of following the blue hawk markers, Thane scouting ahead once more. After a while he spotted some wolves in the area, but we were able to avoid being noticed by them. We eventually found a cave at the place where the markers stopped. Inside there were many webs, as a hint of spiders potentially dwelling there. Kairax assured us that they were only pests, so we needn't worry about them. On further inspection of the cave, we noted a door and we could also pick up the smell of a campfire nearby. We began to bicker amongst ourselves on the best way to go forwards. Kairax finally chose for us, as she suddenly just opened the door and greeted the bandits in her usual friendly nature. There were 4 in the room and they were quick to attack her upon being surprised. The first one to charge towards Kairax was instantly slayed by Thane's blade. The other 2 were easily intimidated into dropping their arms after witnessing this. The last man standing was the one with the most bite, but he was eventually restrained. We allowed the other 2 to leave, while we asked the remaining man, who now had a broken nose, thanks to Svend, some questions. Malik was the name of their leader and it was rumored that he takes his orders directly from the Hark. The restrained bandit couldn't, or wouldn't tell us if Malik was in the cave at that very moment though. He also wouldn't tell us anything about Moose's parents, so we ended up leaving him tied up there and moving on further into the cave. After a few issues of getting the next locked door opened carefully, Svend finally managed to bust it down without trouble. We then made our way across an unsteady bridge, but not without some nice, team-building struggles. After which, we arrived upon another door that Moose opened quickly in a desperate attempt to find her parents. She was especially upset after learning nothing from the other men we had already faced. Unfortunately, she was met with a hostile attack as the bandits that had fled from the campsite earlier were present, among 3 lesser members. Combat began and though both Moose and Kairax tried to reason with the men in the room, we soon learned that they were unwilling to listen. Even to the point where Kairax, who seems to hold deep value in all life, felt as though she had no choice but to spill blood. The foe who was giving out the orders was the most formidable and at one point during the heat of battle, Thane fell to his hand. Thankfully Kairax was able to bring Thane back on his feet again, though he was in a weakened state after that. After witnessing this, a desperate need to keep my comrades alive urged me to use my final spell slot. A 2nd level spell of Tasha's Caustic Brew, on the man whom had brought down Thane. He was by far the most threatening of the 2 remaining. To both my horror and relief the spell succeeded in bringing him down, though in by far the most ruthless manner imaginable. I hadn't sought to kill him, but I did just that. I should have realized. Thinking about it now, still makes the color drain from my face and I feel an urge to clasp a hand over my mouth like I might get sick. I cannot believe I killed someone. And like that. I don't know if I can bring myself to ever use acid in combat again. Once the leader fell, the last man was easily restrained by one of Kairax's spells. We also found some loot for our troubles, though the victory feels awfully hollow without unearthing anything about Moose's parents.